Christmas in Bombay in the 70s. As I pulled out last year's ugly sweater, I had a flashback to the maxi gowns we wore at Christmas in India. I was a teenager in the 70s when maxis were in fashion, and I remembered how we Goans in Bombay celebrated Christmas. I grew up in an apartment in a Catholic colony, which was mostly people from Goa, so we've all followed Goan Portuguese traditions. First step, because I had a neat cursive writing, I had to write out dozens of cards to relatives in Goa and overseas, and then endure the long lines at the post office to have the cards weighed and mailed off. Next, we began making our traditional Christmas sweets. Every housewife had her secret recipes, and it was my mother's time to show off her skills at shapes and varieties. The main sweet was Nyoris, which is homemade puff pastry stuffed with desiccated coconut, cashews, and raisins. Every home made 10 to 12 dozen at least. I still make them today, but limited to between 2 or 3 dozen. Then there are the other decorative sweets like kalkals, milk toffee, made in different shapes, almond marzipan, and bolinias, which are Goan coconut and semolina cookies. Then at least three types of cakes, date and walnut sponge, and the traditional bath cake, again semolina, coconut, sugar, and eggs. The week before Christmas, we made our famous Goan sorpotel, which is chopped pork and offal in a spicy red masala, another closely guarded recipe. It was always made a few days before Christmas so that the pork and other meats were saturated in the masala and vinegar. We didn't really use many decorations at Christmas. We would hang up my mother's special Christmas curtains around the flat, and the star was hung out in the balcony. We set up a little manger scene with Mary and Joseph, the angel, and some sheep. Baby Jesus would arrive on Christmas Day. The plastic Christmas tree went up only on Christmas Eve. I remember how we gently draped strips of cotton on the branches to represent snow and arranged the baubles and tinsel with so much care. Our tree was about 4 feet tall, the highest in our neighborhood, and was set in the window for best display. Christmas was more about competition in clothes, sweets, and decorations than anything else. Around 11 p.m. on the 24th night, wrapped in shawls against the cold 15 degrees centigrade temperature, we would drive to Don Bosco's church, where they had an open air midnight mass on sprawling soccer fields. It was such a wondrous sight to behold. Men in their suits, ladies in their maxis with their stiff helmet shaped hair sets, and children beautifully dressed. The bright lights on the playing fields shining over thousands of well dressed people seated on folding chairs on the green grass. And then the bells would chime at midnight, and the long procession of altar boys and priests would come down the center of the field, and the choir and the congregation would sing with great enthusiasm. Mass would end around 1:30 a.m., and the BEST Bombay Bus Company would have special buses lined up on the street outside the church to bring people to the different parts of the city. There was such joy in the air, and strangers would wish each other Happy Christmas. People would still be singing carols in the streets as they boarded the buses and all the way home. We would get into our car, but I often wished I could get on those buses and join the merriment. Once we got home, we children excitedly looked for Jesus in the manger and gifts under the tree. Each of us got just one gift, but we were excited to receive those. Adults didn't exchange gifts. Then we ate some of the sweets and went off to sleep. Uncles and aunties would start arriving around 11:30 on Christmas morning and bring more presents for us children. But before that, as was our tradition, my mother would arrange sweets on her best plates covered with a lace doily, and one of my siblings and I would be running up and down the building delivering sweets to our neighbors. They would either reciprocate right away or send one of their children later with a plate of sweets for us. Lunch was served as a buffet because there were so many of us. The table would be loaded down with the famous sorpotel, of course, and festa pulao, which is basmati rice pulao made with coconut milk and decorated with fried onions, cashews, almonds, and raisins. Chinese chow, beef vindaloo, chicken kafrial, fish salad, shaped like a fish, of course, and many more dishes. Then the sweets came out, and we were allowed to eat them within limits because they had to last for visitors all the way to the feast of the Epiphany, when the season officially ended. By the way, in India, we said Happy Christmas only on Christmas Day. Between Boxing Day and New Year's Day, we said compliments of the season, a throwback to the British Raj, I suppose. Then, once American TV shows came to Bombay, we fashionably changed to Merry Christmas. And so, since I'm here in North America, I wish you all a Merry Christmas.